And we are live. Hello, everyone. Just give me 1 minute, and this, as per usual, we're just going to connect to Instagram, and then we should be all ready to go. And I apologize. I think we got the timing wrong. If you are subscribed to our newsletter, we said 12 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Pacific. We meant to say 12 o'clock. Anyway, these things happen. Good news is everything is recorded, so you can always refer to the recording. We're gonna send that out in the newsletter as well. All right. I want to talk about something that is like a really interestingly important topic, but with so little interest from most of you. I wanna draw some appreciation to the issue of blood sugar balance, sugar cravings, especially so in perimenopause and menopause, because it can really make a big difference in your life, in how you feel, what you crave, what is your weight, where is your weight can make a big difference. And so before we talk about that, and some of the symptoms of like hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia is, I want to just kind of put up a little rant, and that my rant is really about, whenever the topic of blood sugar levels comes up, I feel like I'm talking to a wall. Like there's very little responses from our community. But when we have products like, for example, called Flat Belly, that product is just flying off the shelves, right? It's flying off the shelves. And because the premise is there that you're going to have a flat belly. And well, in fact, it's easier. Also, you can get a lot of great benefits by managing your blood sugar levels, like get rid of your anxiety or lose that weight that you just can't do that before, sleep so much better, feel so much better, have less brain fog. I mean, the benefits are so many. I'm going to talk about them. So I just want to appeal to all of you guys in our community, because like I hate doing gimmicks. Like I hate to call a product like, I actually even don't like the name Flat Belly in our product, to be perfectly honest. Our team came up with that, so I was like, okay, well, let's try it. But I'd rather have our community really appreciate that you've got to have certain body parts in your balance, and then you get a lot of different benefits from that. And so I hope you appreciate that today when I talk a little bit more about sugar, blood sugar balance, and see like how it's hugely connected to your, was I not broadcasting on Instagram? Shoot. All right. Now I am broadcasting. Sorry about that. It's just that one button. The one button that got me. Hi, Instagram. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, so let me just repeat this. So, one of the things that I want to talk about is blood sugar balance. Unfortunately, when I talk about it like in just general terms, I feel like I'm just really getting a stone wall, and you guys just don't respond to it the same way. But when we have something like a product that's called Flat Belly, everybody goes and buys it. Like we can barely keep it in our store because it's just flying off the shelves because it's got flat belly. So everybody's expecting to have a flat belly. And I kind of dislike that because, I hate doing gimmicky stuff. Like I truly believe in empowering you with knowledge and information, and understanding that when you balance your blood sugar levels, your life will completely change. Your cravings, the control of the cravings that have on you will go away. You sleep better. You're losing weight. Cellulite goes away. I mean, there's all these women do these crazy things about cellulite, right? And including like super expensive creams and whatever massages and stuff like that. All of that crap just doesn't work until you correct your blood sugar balance. And so let's see what else. Anxiety. I mean, there are so many people who are actually going into a state of anxiety like 20 minutes after having something sweet without realizing that it's actually the sugar dip that can cause that. And so there's so much that goes on behind blood sugar imbalances that I feel like it's very underappreciated. So I really hope you have a little bit patience for me today, just to explain what is it that we can do to regulate these blood sugar imbalances. And it prepares really, really nicely with our new product. Let me just grab it because I just forgot to do that. In case you wonder, I'm in my camper van. I'm about to start my journey back to the United States. I'm in Mexico, avoiding Colorado winter. So we launched her protein. So some of you might have seen this. Only 5 ingredients: beef from beef isolate from grass-fed cows from Sweden. It comes with creatine and inositol, and it's only got 5 ingredients, super clean. And so when we released the product, one of the things that, you know, we intended on doing is to really help you curb hunger with the protein, right? Get your protein in like in an easy, practical way. But then we were also stacking that on top of that, saying, what about your cravings? What can you do to tame those cravings? And this is where the blood sugar balance issue comes up. And this is really what I want to talk a little bit about today. If many of you have been asking us in the social media, like, if I got her protein, what else goes with this? Because this is also, some people are also asking, because this is $59.99. If you want to get free shipping on it, you've got to reach $97. So sometimes people, especially if you're new to us, they're like, oh, so what else can I add on? So this is one of the products I want to talk about, but you need to couple that product with some lifestyle changes. I want to talk about the lifestyle changes because supplement alone, you cannot out supplement a good diet. Okay. So the product is called Glucomaximus, and Heidi, let's drop that word, just Glucomaximus, without the link into our chat. Melissa, it says it's amazing, tastes delicious, so happy with the protein. Thank you, Melissa. We're just now hearing on your responses because it's such a new product. So what I want to let's start off with maybe with blood sugar issues, and it's like the question is like, how do you know if something is off, right? Like, how do you know you have an issue with sugar? And a lot of women actually don't realize that until they go and see they get some blood work done and they enter perimenopause and they're like, oh my God, suddenly my HA1C is like 5.7. I'm pre-diabetic. Or my glucose level is just like 97, 99. But my doctor is saying like, oh, you don't have diabetes yet. Well, guess what? You're pre-diabetic with a 99, because, you know, like how in Western medicine they have like, if you're gonna be over 100 and then you're officially in diabetes space, right? I think you follow this page. I think we're on the same page. Like, you don't want to go there. If you're already at 97 or 99, you'll be like, stop. Like, I need to pedal my way out of this. Now, why is this happening? How many of you here have been experiencing like blood sugar dysregulation, or you suddenly go and see a doctor, you suddenly are told like, you actually have elevated blood sugar levels. You used to be like, your HA1C, your hemoglobin A1C, which is a great marker for blood sugar balance levels, it will be like 5.1, 5.2, and suddenly you're 5.7. You're like, what the heck is going on? So let me explain this. This is really fascinating. And this is very, very typical in perimenopause. As estrogen starts dropping, the sensitivity of the cells to insulin is not the same. Insulin is what sweeps up all the glucose out of the bloodstream, and it opens up the cells, the door lock in the cell, and brings the glucose into your cells. So insulin is super important. It's like the carrier, right? And without it, it's like, you know, another analogy would be, it's like that carrier that's like kind of like driving around, it's like trash, you know, trash trucks, right? They're driving around like collecting all the trash. There's a truck that's collecting all the glucose and then eliminating it, and, you know, introducing that to the cell and then eliminating it. And, you know, the fascinating thing is, and that's the reason why so many women develop blood sugar issues, dysregulation, and we get much more sensitive to sugar, is when we enter perimenopause. Now, how many of you here can relate to this? Just drop yes if that's you. How many of you can relate to this when I say, like, back in your 20s, you can have like 5 ice creams every day for 5 days, and you're like gorgeous as always in that bikini. You sleep like a log, you have no problems, you're thinking straight, like everything is great. You put on maybe a pound at the most. Try to do that now in your 40s and 50s and 60s. 5 ice creams in 5 days, what's gonna happen? Flab, you're gonna put on weight, you're gonna, like, now your tummy is all gonna be sticking out. You can't put your pants back on. You can't sleep. You're foggy. You're now pissed off with yourself. Now you're craving even more sugar with that one ice cream. Now you're just like, now I want a cookie. Now I want to have a donut. Now I'm going to have some Coke. I can never drink Coke, but I'm going to have a Coke or some kind of a soda. It's kind of like goes out of control. And the question is why, right? And so has any one of you experienced that here? Because I can see this in my own body all the time. Ever since I entered perimenopause, my response to sugar, my body just responds to sugar in a very, very different way. And so, you know, I can tell like how, you know, that sugar is just like, that's where it goes in my thighs. I'm very much of an estrogenic type of girl. So I'm a pear-shaped kind of a girl, and it goes all in my butt and my thighs. And guess what? It gets jiggly. And so I don't like it how it looks, but more importantly, what goes behind the scenes, my body is beginning to struggle to clear that sugar. Cortisol levels start going up because when you have high blood sugar levels, the body is trying to create a homeostasis in the body. Your cortisol levels start going up as well. And so many of you here are already dealing with a lot of stress, probably brought on by perimenopause, a lot of challenges, a lot of inflammation, and that upregulation of blood sugar now going up with the cortisol going up, that creates even more inflammation. And guess what? By default, when you enter perimenopause, you're already in a state of inflammation. And so we want to help the body to like calm down, calm the inflammation down, and not be jacking it up with more issues. And that's part of the reason why blood sugar dysregulation is such a big topic, and it impacts how you sleep, your food cravings, your weight, your cellulite amounts, your ability to think. So anxiety, let me tell you, I have a couple of colleagues who work on anxiety. The first thing that they do is they look at people's blood sugar levels. And when they stabilize their blood sugar levels, anxiety miraculously just either gets significantly reduced or completely goes away. Something that a lot of people don't connect the one-in-one that it can be caused by. So I'm just gonna look at yeah. So a lot of you here on Instagram, we have a lot more engagement on Instagram. It says Mary says absolutely, yep. Reina is saying yep. Mary is saying yes. I can't tell if it's low or high blood sugar levels. If it's, yeah, I feel like it's all over the place. And HA1BC is HA1C is high despite normal blood sugar levels. That's an important distinction as well. HA1C will show you your blood sugar levels in the past 3 months, where blood sugar level sometimes is kind of tricky because it kind of depends what you ate before, what is your stress levels during that time, and it can sometimes get jacked up. So HA1C is a much, much better product. Andrew is asking, can males use the protein powder? Yes, you can. We have a couple of guys in our team, so I asked them to do, I'm like, hey, just, you know what, it's kind of pink and it says her protein, so just make you feel better, just pour it into like another bag or something, or a jar, and just use it that way. But yes, absolutely. And both creatine and inositol are actually great for men as well. So so no worries there. So yeah, we definitely don't respond the same way to sugar. And so this is the reason why, you know, I want to talk about this. While I'm going to talk about some solutions, Heidi, could you pull out maybe some things and maybe post on in our ticker tape or the screen there on like some of the symptoms of low blood sugar levels and then high blood sugar levels. Let's do like a little review so people can appreciate some of those things. So, you know, when you have high blood sugar levels, one of the things that happens is, and is hardly ever high, it's like when it's high, it drops, right? So like, think about it, for example, of it, like having a breakfast and you're having oatmeal. That's one of my favorite examples, oatmeal with fruits. And I know many of you here are going to be very angry with me for saying this, that oatmeal is a healthy food first thing in the morning. No, it's not. It's all carbs. It's all turns into sugar. All the oats turn into sugar, no matter what the magazines and the influencers have been telling you. Overnight, I think the overnight oats are just like the worst thing ever because it's just uncooked, furthermore. And, you know, and so when your blood sugar levels go up, they're going to come crashing down. And so 2 hours later, after having an oatmeal, you might be experiencing anxiety. Now you're craving even more sugar, and you want to have you know, you can't focus, you getting jittery, you are getting angry, unfocused, just cannot sit down and focus whatsoever. And so, you know, is it ADHD or is that blood sugar dysregulation, right? So that's one of the big protocols in ADHD is actually blood sugar regulation. So ability to focus, right? And complete a task. So those are, you know, those are a real issue. And then when you have hypoglycemia, which is basically, it's for most people, actually, it starts off with hypoglycemia, right? It's like when you're hungry, that's the biggest indication is when you're hungry, you just go like this, right? And instead of just like, oh, I'm just hungry, like now my hands are shaking, I'm sweating. And if I don't have like a hit of sugar, like right now, I'm gonna pass out or I'm gonna like kill someone, right? Those are just, you guys, like, this is not normal. Let me tell you, this is not normal. When I moved to the United States, I had colleagues and we went out for lunch and they would be like having these crashes in the afternoons, right? And having like super sugary drinks for lunch and then crashing at like 3 o'clock and they're like, I need sugar. And I can see like, they're like, I need sugar to rebalance my blood sugar levels. And I'm thinking like, why did you drink that double Coke for lunch in the first place, you know? So anyway, I want to just talk a little bit about, let's just talk about the 3 things that really can help you balance your blood sugar levels. And the first thing is, I'm such a big proponent of breakfast. Making one of the biggest differences you can do is changing your breakfast. And I know you have for years been conditioned that healthy breakfast is oatmeal or, you know, chia seeds overnight or, you know, a fruit smoothie, right? And if you think about it, all of this is sugar, 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 sugar. And so maybe you're one of the minorities that you really don't respond badly to it, then I'll say stick to it. I want to challenge all of you to try, like, we are going into the weekend, try over the weekend to do a savory breakfast. Like, do dinner leftovers. And, you know, I'm posting these reels that are just so darn ugly because, like, I'm in a camper van. I'm super practical. I'm like taking my dinner from last night that looks like shit. And then I'm just like packing it with all this additional, you know, like arugula and roasted vegetables and whatever. It looks horrible. It looks like, does not look Instagrammable at all. And I don't care because I hope you distinguish between like looking at this beautiful chia pudding that was just like so beautifully photographed and it's useless for breakfast, or you're having this damn ugly video from Magdalena that just shows my stew from last night and I'm just packing it with all these nutrients that actually is gonna keep you sustained and keep you like satisfied and grounded, and it gives you mental power and energy. It's not gonna, you're not even gonna remember about craving or eating anything until lunch or even above that, beyond that. You know, that is the difference. And that's a huge thing to start off the day with a savory breakfast full of protein, full of veg, full of some good fats, right? So some of you, if you follow me for many years, you know the PFF thing, protein, fat, and fiber. It's like the mantra of a good breakfast. And you guys, for those of you who've traveled the world, you know that if you go to Japan, it's always a savory breakfast. You have like a piece of rice, you have fish, you have miso soup, you have some condiments. You go to Peru, they are big on soups. You go to Mexico, it's all savory breakfast. You know, you go to Morocco, they love to do their eggs on meat, but also they also do like this fava bean soup for breakfast. It's like a big thing there. It's all savory food, you guys. No one eats sugar. Americans eat desserts for breakfast, and then I get attacked for saying that fruit is bad. I'm not saying fruit is bad. I'm just saying don't eat fruit first thing in the morning. Even your healthy smoothie, when you're putting the banana and the mango in there, that's just, it's like a total jolt for your, you're just like absolutely, you're like injecting yourself with sugar like first thing in the morning. You want to have sugar and fruit, do it midday, do it for lunch maybe if you will, but try to do I want to challenge you for this weekend just to try a savory breakfast and see how that makes you feel. You know, I have many colleagues, and one of the things that we always, when we travel together for like conferences and whatnot, it oftentimes we either like, many of us don't like staying in hotels, so we often like rent a villa and just split the cost, you know, with it. Like we want to have our own kitchen and a pool and just like relax and not be cooped up in a hotel room. And one of the things that I always do is I always offer to make breakfast for everyone, you know, and if any, like when we meet years later, like stories come up and they always say, oh my God, I'll never forget those breakfasts. You know, it was such a big highlight. And it was like, all I had to do is just get up an hour earlier than and I get up early anyway, so it was not a big deal. And roast some vegetables, cook up some meat, just dish it out. And that was breakfast. And everybody was like, oh my God, I've got this energy. And this is my colleagues who do this stuff for a living too, health. And they were like, I'm so full of energy. I'm so clear-minded. I've got like no cravings. I didn't even think about food until lunch. That's a huge difference. And when that happens, you also start losing weight naturally as well, because your caloric intake is lower as well. Like you don't need to have those cravings. You stop having those cravings for more sugar, which is hugely, hugely caloric. All right. And so breakfast is the first thing you could start doing, right? The second thing is that you can start doing is incorporating things to upregulate your insulin receptors, right? So take note of that. So Heidi, let's put them out on the screen as well. So because people are going to be asking then later, it's like, oh, I didn't catch all of that. Cinnamon is the first one. Fenugreek is another herb. Gymnema, Gymnema, Gymnema is an amazing herb that upregulates your insulin receptors so that your body is in a better shape is more able to sweep up that glucose from your bloodstream and introduce them to the cells and then evacuate it. And then you have things like chromium, right? Alpha lipoic acid. Some of those things can be super helpful as well. So people who are diabetic, for example, pre-diabetic, are put on chromium. Picolinate is my favorite form. And that's the reason why our product called Glucomaximus, we've packed all of those things. It has, it's got cinnamon, it's got gymnema, it's got alpha lipoic acid. It does have also chromium. It does not have fenugreek. And, you know, and it is just, if you look at the reviews, I mean, the product speaks for itself, right? You don't have to buy it from us. You can just go and, you know, like start grinding up some cinnamon, putting that into your food, or fenugreek, the same thing, right? So if you want to just have it simple, then it's all in one supplement. And this is when people ask us, like, what can I pair her protein with? I would say this gives you the protein, so that curbs your hunger. What curbs your cravings is Glucomaximus, because of the sugar regulation that it helps with. Okay. So one of the big things that we see in the reviews, I was just looking at the reviews of Glucomaximus, what you guys have been saying. And one of the biggest things that's been coming out from there is that women saying, my cravings have completely stopped. So what happens when your cravings get reduced, right? Like the amount of calories that you are then taking in is significantly lower, because now people are just like, I don't need to have that muffin. I don't need to have that sweet, you know, coffee anymore. I don't need that sugar hit, because I'm just feeling so satisfied. So that's the second thing. The third thing to do is, even when you're ready, is to correct your estrogen levels. That's gonna something, and I think this can be all done in tandem. You do your breakfast, savory breakfast, you do your supplement with those herbs that I mentioned, and then you also consider either working with a provider or figuring it out, correcting your estrogen levels. You can do that if you're early in perimenopause. The herb stuff works really great. So the herbal options that you have, and Heidi, let's put them on the screen. Some of the foods that have that are high in phytoestrogens would be things like flaxseed and lentils. Those are the two. Soy as well. If you can get organic soy that you can actually tolerate, those are 3 great foods that are high in phytoestrogens that can naturally help you raise your estrogen levels. So flaxseed, lentils, and soy, organic soy. Those are the 3 things I would recommend. Now, does it work when you are like late into perimenopause, at the menopause, or postmenopausally? Most likely no. And so then you might want to consider hormone replacement therapy, work with someone to get you on bioidentical hormones. That might be a pretty good idea. there is obviously fear of women who have had estrogen receptor positive hormonal cancers. Then it's a more complex conversation, but you can work with a provider and then work on maybe high concentrated forms of like organic soy extracts to get that estrogen through food and not through hormones. Okay, let me just take a quick look at what's happening on Instagram. Tanita, yes, she's saying she's gonna save this post to share it later. Yeah, so it is gonna be posted to our feed. And Katie is saying, Ember, what's the veggie protein veggie breakfast? Yeah, well, I am not a big fan of vegetable veggie protein because they're just not. I mean, don't you need to make sure it's non-toxic cinnamon? Yeah. So the best type of I mean, it's not to say toxic, non-toxic. It's all amounts on. It depends on the amount. The Ceylon, you're right. The Ceylon cinnamon is the best form of cinnamon that has the lowest levels of, and I'm forgetting now what the substance was. But yeah, but again, it's the amount that really matters. Ember saying when she was talking about eating meats and roasted vegetables for breakfast, my family loves sauteed in butter, cruciferous broccoli, cauliflower, sweet potato with cinnamon butter, only some steak. Awesome. Meats and veggies. So a question here for you guys. Who here is gonna try a savory breakfast this weekend? Katie's saying, I don't want to gain weight through, like some friends gain from HRT. So that's a different conversation altogether, but don't go by your friends. Everyone is different. And if somebody's put on weight from HRT, that's probably because the dosage wasn't done correctly. And you are not them. So, you know, if you are feeling really, really terrible, if you are feeling debilitated, there's no need to suffer. And if you don't want to do HRT, then try other things there's different herbs and foods that can help correct estrogen. There are herbs that can correct progesterone, like Vitex. All of that is totally doable. Ember is saying, I'm using your progesterone cream nightly, except for 5 nights off, and magnesium, trying to still work on sleep. Ember, there was a great article that I wrote, and it's on our blog. It's on hormones within us, hormonesbalance.com. There is a article that I wrote about fixing sleep after 45. Take a look at that, because it took me like close to a year to write that article and doing research on it. And it's got like a very long list of things so you can start going down and see what else you can do to improve your sleep. Maglirin saying I will try it. Awesome. Coumarin and cinnamon. Thank you. Coumarin is a substance. Yeah, so coumarin tends to be lower in Ceylon cinnamon. That is true. Amber saying she's loved the article. We'll look again. Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is sometimes we kind of like selectively pick what we think is gonna work. And so one of the things I want to invite you to doing is, when you see some advice from someone you trust, and they have like a list of things, like the way I'm talking about the article, when I have like a list of things to try for better sleep in perimenopause, sometimes we tend to go towards things that are kind of easy to do, doable, right? And that's okay too. But sometimes we actually, the things that we push away and reject are sometimes the things that we need the most, you know? So just kind of challenge yourself in that way, and see whether maybe that, like maybe the watching of the news of, like, especially now what's happening in a country, like watching the news before going to bed might be a really bad idea, because you're just bloody pissed off. And neurology shows that whatever you watch in the last, or read the last, as the last thought, that's what your brain is gonna be processing. Anyway, I'm diverging here from the topic. I've done a lot of calls on sleep before. Does HRT help with energy? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, estrogen can help with energy. DHEA can help with energy. It helped me a ton. Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the estrogen and DHEA. I would say those are the progesterone, not so much. Crazy Cats is saying, I started HRT 3 weeks ago. Can I have skin reactions on your legs, like skin bumps? Possibly. Depends on how it was formulated, what's in it. That could be that there is something in the formula that is you're just reacting to. And always remember that you should be rotating all your HRT spots. If it's a topical, which I'm assuming this is, then you should be rotating it around your body, not always applying in the same places. So and you should be using a really, really clean formula. And that's the reason why we went to great lengths to formulate our progesterone cream in a way that is super clean. It doesn't have any like allergens in it. Kim is saying, I'm loving your protein powder. Thank you. Thank you. Amber saying, we're wearing a ring that has been detective of low HRV, and I'm wondering if you know much about low HRV in perimenopause. Yeah, so it's not just in perimenopause. HRV can be driven by hormone. So this is heart rate variability. That's what Ember is talking here about, and that can be driven down by everything from stress. It can be because you're eating too much before going to bed. You're eating too much of, maybe your body can't process all the protein and fat you are eating. Let me give you an example. So I think you're talking about the ring. So I don't know what ring are you using, but probably Aura. So like I'm wearing the Aura ring, and that's my sleep detective, my health companion and buddy, and my accountability buddy. I love it. So my HRV would plummet if, for example, if I eat something fatty or too much protein at night. And maybe my digestion is too slow. Even if I take digestive enzymes, it still doesn't seem to help all that much. And so, or if I'm eating too close to my sleep. So I go to sleep at 9 p.m. I cannot eat dinner after 6 p.m. Okay, so I need to have at least 3 hours window to go to sleep, right? So that's and then so I get the best sleep if I have something like a lentil soup, or actually banana oatmeal. Believe it or not, I know it sounds so bizarre, and you're probably gonna be thinking, who is this woman? Like, are you completely out of your mind? Like asking people to eat dinner for breakfast? But you know what? Like, I do what makes me feel really good, and I don't really quite care what what you think. I'm being perceptive and be thinking like, would you do it, right? But anyway, I don't worry about judgment. But what I'm just saying to you is that what makes me feel I sleep really well after having like complex carbohydrates with like a lentil soup or banana with oatmeal. And that gives me like 6 o'clock, and then going to sleep, I get the best HRV. So HRV is impacted by so many different things. What happened, like if you overworked yourself, like when I had COVID, my HRV just dropped down to like lowest ever, right? And it took months for it to come back up. So there's any form of strain on the body. Your blood sugar levels can also kill your HRV. So that's another thing. Adding progesterone can help the HRV, heart rate variability. It's a great indicator of just under how much stress the body is. Ember is saying lowering estrogen progesterone can lead to lower HRV. Yes, it can. And by the way, low HRV is not good. So it's not your heart rate, it's heart rate variability. So that's different from a heart rate. Heart rate, you want it to be low. HRV, you want it to be high. Can you recommend a provider to test hormones? Find somebody who you find locally. I think that's the best option. If not, you can also order hormone testing on our website through Dutch. I think the website address is hormonesbalance.com/ what was the URL? What lab work is that? If you just go to hormonesbalance.com and look for testing, order labs, you will find it there. Otherwise, find somebody who's local to you who can order. And the one that I really highly recommend for all your steroid hormones is Dutch, Dutch. Call ahead of time. If your provider is not able to do Dutch, go somewhere else. Like, it's such a standard now for managing your hormones. If this person doesn't know how to do Dutch, most likely they are not trained in functional medicine, and you're just wasting your time and money. Katie's asking, what's in a banana oatmeal? Honestly, it's just a banana. It's oatmeal. It's heaps of flaxseed because I love that for the fiber. And I'll put some herbs on it, spices like, maybe my drizzle that has got like a pumpkin seed and cinnamon in it or whatever. So, everybody's asking about my oatmeal now. Okay. I want you to try savory breakfast, not oatmeal. So, okay. All right. So I think we're gonna be. I think I've covered most of the questions on Instagram. So thank you for your questions there. Thank you for so many lovely comments about her protein. And look at that. Mine is like finishing up now. I'm just cradling on like until I get back to the US. I cannot get anything into Mexico, so I'm on my way back to the US, and so I'm kind of, it's a bittersweet kind of a thought to be going back for a whole variety of reasons. Anyway, I hope that today's call was helpful for you guys, just to have a little bit of appreciation how much, when you do have those highs and lows in your sugar balance, how it impacts your cortisol levels, how it impacts your inflammation, impacts your sleep, your weight, your flab, all that cellulite that so many of you hate, especially now going into summer. You know, and what to do to change it, right? That savory breakfast. Be really mindful how much sugar you consume throughout the day. My personal goal is 20 grams of sugar all in. That includes, if I'm having a banana, that goes into like I will deduct it, and like mentally I'll make a mental note of this, right? Not just added sugar. And I know this is a very unpopular opinion. A lot of people don't like me for saying that, but I also feel like it's something that I think people who are disconnected from reality of how hard it is to be in perimenopause and how the body is just not so well equipped to deal with sugar. It's sometimes that's what it takes to manage it better. Here's the thing: if your body loves sugar and you're metabolizing it like a champ, I'm like, just ignore everything that I said. Your blood sugar levels are perfect, like it's in like 87, right? Your HA1C is like 5.1. You can have your oatmeal and all the smoothies the first thing in the morning and a coffee with that, right? And your blood sugar levels are like perfect. You don't have any cravings. Your weight is perfect. Just ignore everything I said. That's not working. You don't need to change anything. But if you're struggling with all those things, then please don't attack me, because I'm just telling you that's really, your body is changing in perimenopause, and we need to change with it, instead of wanting to eat the same food as we did before in the same manner and then expect different results. And then maybe popping one supplement here and there and be like, well, it's not working. So I hope this is helpful today, just to kind of set the context, is that with perimenopause, we need to adjust. And the adjustment a lot of times will come from just being a lot more mindful of sugar. So you don't have a coma. You don't go into a sugar coma, just like my puppy over here. He's in a total coma. Are you in a sugar coma? No, my puppies don't get any sugar at all. All right. Cool, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and try something new. Try something like, I want to invite you to trying the savory breakfast and report back next time we talk about, I will see you here probably next week. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.